Hello, everybody. You've tuned into the Indiana State Police Roadshow. I'm Sergeant Rich Myers from District 52 Public Information Office. Thank you for joining us this week. We're brought to you each and every week by the Indiana State Police Alliance Cops for Kids, a subsidiary of the Indiana State Police Alliance, and Tom Trial, who puts us on YouTube and on Channel 16 of your local cable station. So thank you to all those folks. Today we have, as promised last week, the famous Kyle Hankins from the Indiana State Police Quartermaster Division, and better known as Notre Dame Kyle Hankins.
I'll take that.
You'd go with that nickname, wouldn't you?
Correct.
Longtime fan of Notre Dame.
Yes, sir.
Did you like Rudy? Did you like that movie?
Yeah, I love. That's probably the best movie ever made.
You live and die by Notre Dame, don't you?
I do.
That's good. That's good. And one of many people in our department that do that.
Very true.
That's great. Well, Kyle, thanks for being in here today. We appreciate you being here. Kyle's, how long you been on the department, Kyle?
I just had my 20th year in November last year.
Well, good. It just seems like yesterday.
It does.
So give us a little background here. How did Kyle Hankins get started in the Indiana State Police?
Well, in 1994, when Kyle Hankins graduated from good old Cecina Memorial High School over here on the east side,
okay.
I put my application in, and I knew what I wanted to do, and being police work. So
right.
I started out with the department in Central Records, worked there for about a year downtown.
Okay.
And then
what did you do there? What's Central Records?
Central Records, you did limited criminal history checks, and and then I also went into crash records back in the old days when everybody.
I was going to say that's evolved a little bit because limited criminal history is now online.
Correct.
And crash records are now online.
Correct.
So that's really evolved.
So I got out of there, I guess, at a good time.
Yeah. Had another job coming up.
Right. And then I being on the east side, the position came open out in Quartermaster, which is located there at 21st and Post Road. And so I went out there and worked there for 6 years, got into recruit school in 2000, and here I am in uniform for 14 years.
Wow. And where did you go in uniform? Where did you start out at?
Started out at the Indianapolis Post.
Okay.
And then went on to Governor Security. Did Governor Security.
Which governor?
Mitch Daniels.
Okay.
Did that under his first term. Went to Pendleton, trooped at Pendleton, and then I've been back at Quartermaster now for 2 years now.
Okay. Well, great. And so you started out, you said, a Quartermaster. So you worked there as civilian.
I did.
Who did you work under then?
At that time, enforcement or civilian-wise?
Both.
Okay, enforcement was, it was Lieutenant Doug Biggs.
Oh, wow.
He was a lieutenant there. And then Lieutenant Gary Murphy came in. And my civilian managers were Norb Coors.
Yeah.
Remember Norb Coors?
Oh, yeah.
John Franklin.
Yeah, there forever. I rode with John for years when I was working civilian out there at the State Police Post, and rode with him and his dad and Eddie up there to the post. So yeah, I've got fond memories of that. But let's talk a little bit and explain to people Quartermaster. What is Quartermaster for the Indiana State Police?
Quartermaster is pretty much everything given to you by the department to make you or to allow you to do your job, whether it's a pair of shoes, whether it's the bullets, whether it's a gun, whether it's a hat, whether it's the equipment in the car, first aid kit. It's pretty much everything you need from the department to do your job.
And we like to joke, especially in the academy, it's everything but your underwear, pretty much.
Pretty much
Everything that you're going to.
We got shelf space for underwear, but I don't.
We haven't went that far yet to buy that.
Correct.
And if we do, it's going to be blue, right?
It would be blue and gold. Yes.
Blue with the gold stripe around the top.
Correct. Yep.
So back when you were in there, civilian wise, so you're now in charge of it. You're the commander of the Quartermaster. What's changed?
New weapon. We have a new gun. Uniform is pretty much still the same, but the way we orchestrate and do the whole process from the start of the recruit school till the end when they receive their cars here next month, it pretty much doesn't change. It hasn't changed. But
I'm sure with the onset of computers, because you guys are in charge of that, you guys deal those out, everything that comes out.
Actually, computers and printers, we don't.
Oh, really?
Yeah, IoT covers all that.
Okay.
So,
but with everything that's got to go in the cars, from the flashlights,
correct,
to the lights,
correct,
to what the uniform, like you said, the shoes, the gun belt, the guns, everything comes through Quartermaster.
correct.
So how far in advance, we were talking to Steve last week about this rookie class that's coming up. How far in advance do you guys start building up for the rookie class?
Well, in my shop, I guess you will,
Right.
this whole these 41 that are going to get their cars next month, that all started back in June of last year for me, because that's when they personally came in and they went around in stations and we fit them.
So they come to you guys first before they even go to the academy.
Correct.
Okay.
And it's usually about 2 to 3 weeks prior to the start of the academy, so we can at least capture what kind of size we need for shoes and belts and uniforms and hats and all that stuff.
Vests, bulletproof vests go through you guys?
They do. What we do is we have a vendor that goes out and actually fits them kind of later on in the academy.
Okay.
Once we're sure that recruit is going to be in that academy and going to wear that armor, graduate.
And that's they do wear that in the academy now, don't they?
They do. We have a vast amount of used armor that we pretty much give them and provide them just so they get used to the comfortability of the vest.
Yeah, the comfortability. That's a good word for it. A good choice of words. So we have 60 people come in. What do you have to do? They start wearing their uniform right away, or how does that work?
Traditionally, no. What they generally do is, when I was in the academy 14 years ago, we had suits and we wore suits for about 4 or 5 weeks. Now what we do is we fit them in what's a TDU or a BDU, is what layman's terms are. But it's essentially a military style uniform with a jacket and a pair of pants. And a pair of boots, or boots that we issue. Kind
of more work friendly, something.
Correct.
Okay.
It's just something there's a uniform. There's that a sense of accountability, I guess, for them.
And maybe the public might be familiar with like our canine officers wear or something like that.
Correct.
Okay. So that's what they start out with.
That's what they start out wearing, and that's usually within a couple weeks of the academy. We get that, and then in the meantime, we're working on the orders of this uniform, of the belts, of their regular shoes, of their straw hats, their felt hats, and the list goes on and on.
Wow. So all throughout the academy, though, you have to come in and, I'm sure, keep them up to date on what they have.
Correct. We also have, obviously, people who go up and down in sizes quite a bit because of the running and, the food.
The exercise and stuff like that.
We constantly, every week, it's just meeting a demand of a particular recruit.
So you're kind of like the Walmart of the state police.
Very much, yes.
Well, again, we're talking to Kyle Hankins from the Quartermaster Division. He's the commander of the Quartermaster Division, which is responsible for issuing pretty much everything to the Indiana State Police that's needed out there on the road, out there at 21st and Post Road. Kyle, if someone came to you and they'd lost a bunch of weight or maybe put on some weight or something, what's the process? What do they do to get that taken care of? And is there a process every year where you look at stuff the state police have and decide whether it's been worn too long and needs to be replaced?
Yeah. The process we have every year is our annual fall audit, and that's where we kind of take a cart and pony show out to every district and meet every officer in the field, 12 to 1,300. I don't know exactly what our number is, but we see everybody in the field for about 15 minutes, and we go through their inventory list. We refer to it as their property card, and that kind of gives them a chance to show us what their needs are. Whether these shoes are worn out, or this belt looks bad, or this shirt has a hole, and that's kind of like their time where we can capture that. Now, we do understand, and we on a routinely basis get what you said, weight loss, or examples where they respond to an incident and they get some type of bodily fluid or something
bloodborne
like
pathogen or something on there.
Correct. So we always keep a inventory of new on hand, but we also have quite a bit of used on hand. And when I say used, they're spectacular, immaculate shape, and those are usually the uniform pants that you had or you've had, and you've always wished that you could fit into them, and you just haven't been able to fit into them, so you brought them in and exchanged them. So we have quite a bit of stock in that.
And a lot of times you'll get that too, is the guy that's been a detective for years and years people don't realize he's got to have a uniform.
He does.
I mean, he has a uniform home because
for call out or anything. Yeah,
we're all troopers,
Correct.
and he may be working the 500, the Brickyard 400 or something, and not working it in the detective mode, but he's going to be there as a trooper, which we all are. So he's going to have that, and maybe that's going to come in later at the end of his career and look immaculate because he wears it one time a year.
Correct.
So you got those on hand.
Correct. And where we usually get a lot of them are from retirees. You know, retirees, they'll come in and, they'll bring us all the stuff that they've acquired for the 35 plus years that they've been on the department. And a lot of them are, gently used. And, we'll go through and we'll destroy the stuff that's worn, but the stuff that looks impeccable and nice and clean is right there and stored, and we used it on a constant weekly basis.
So do you ever get any of the uniforms anymore with just one patch on it?
I have. I haven't gotten one in a long time, but yes, I have.
And a lot of people, what we're talking about, kind of explain, state police uniform traditionally back, I don't know when it stopped, but only had one patch on it.
It was 70s, I think, is when that stopped, if
I'm
not mistaken.
And that was on the left side,
It was on the left side, correct.
Just had one patch on it. And I know there was some troopers out there, some shirts that were floating around at one time that they were kind of keeping back to themselves as mementos, but that was the way it was. And I know a lot of troopers kept those to themselves. So when you have this audit that we have, everything that they have is gone through and numbers are checked, correct?
Correct. After we get through the clothing portion of it, we then go into the serialized part, and the serialized can consist of cameras, guns, badges, everything that has a serial number on it. So we, check our records on that and make sure everything's accurate on that, and then that's pretty much concludes the audit.
And that's
everything.
Tell
us what they want,
even from the fire extinguisher in the back of the car,
correct,
all the way up to the P8 or the PBT to the
correct.
Like you said, the badge even has numbers on it. A lot of people don't realize that those are serial numbers, so that each one of those is accounted for.
Correct.
Do you find that when we change, I noticed we changed recently. We had the old buckle shoes forever, and now we've went to the shoe tie. But you guys are always testing things too to see if there's something better out there in there.
Right. In that example there, the buckle shoe, it was a good shoe, but it was just one of those shoes that it kind of served its time.
Yeah.
And then gratefully enough, Bates at that time, they offered this lace up, and the word we've heard in the field is that people are really, really happy about it. They're really comfortable, and they hold to the ankle and provide support real well.
More support for it. But you guys are all, I know a lot of times are testing new jackets, new whatever. You kind of put them out there in the field and give the troopers time to test them and see if they're actually going to work before we implement them in the field.
Correct. There's somewhat of a little process of, a little T&E process of what do you like, what do you dislike, and then ultimately it goes into the price. To see exactly what it costs and what it costs to outfit, our entire agency with it, or if it's something that we'll just start into recruit schools, and then as time goes on, eventually most of the department will start adhering to jackets.
And that's not just clothes. I know one time I was involved with back many years ago with the shotgun racks. When we first got into the shotgun racks to secure them in the car, we had different styles in the front of the car that stood up and like we have now on the roof and that type of stuff. So it's not just clothes. It's a lot of things that we look at to see if the trooper's going to like it and if it's functional in the car.
Correct.
So what do we go through the most as an Indiana State Police department? What goes out of Quartermaster?
The most? Gosh, I don't know.
Are you guys, paperwork, staples, pins, that all comes through you, right?
No.
Oh.
It used to.
Okay.
But luckily enough, there are big conglomerates around that, like Staples and stuff like that.
Okay.
It's more fiscally conservative for Lowell or Evansville to order something through Staples that will ship it and that will store Post-it notepads and all that stuff.
And that's part of your job, too, to look at it and say, hey, it's going to be cheaper to go this route than us to handle it.
Right.
So that's good. Great.
Yeah. So office products are completely gone from us, which we're happy with. That allows us to focus on other stuff.
Well, good. Well, Kyle, we're out of time. Thanks for coming in. I appreciate you being here, the famous Kyle Hankins, and famous because he's first sergeant at the Quartermaster Division and also probably the biggest fan of Notre Dame that I know of. When you call your phone and it plays a Notre Dame Fighting Irish song, that's pretty big.
I should have you over at my house to confirm that. Yeah. Thanks, Rich. That's a great compliment.
You're welcome. Again, brought to you by the Indiana State Police Alliance, Cops for Kids. This has been the Indiana State Police Roadshow. We'll catch you again next week. Thanks for being with us. Bye-bye. Roadshow out.